Hey, what's up guys, I'm Torn and welcome back to Victoria 3 as we are playing as Japan. So this will be the finale episode today, and I'm going to talk about why we're ending it and what we're going to be doing next here in a minute. There is one thing I wanted to do first, and that is we're going to take the Greener Grass campaign off of, I think it's Western New Guinea here, which I believe they are now at the required 5 urban center here. So we've gotten them up. Of course, they are not one of our states, nor can we incorporate them until after the colony finishes growing here. So we were finally able to get one of our colonies done up to level 5, and the reason why this one was a little bit easier to do than these other locations is that large population, 1.22 million. So we had plenty of labor for building those, constructing those urban buildings. We did get the Metropolitan Railway completed. All right, so our choices are the engineers deserve a reward and will get a higher railway building throughput, and 50% of the engineer pops in Kanto will become loyalists. Or you say our railway will be the envy of the world. We'll still get that same throughput bonus, but we'll also get some prestige. We're going to go with this one, get some more loyalists. So it looks like I've got about 200,000 loyalists or so from that. So we had a lot of engineers. Essentially, if that was 50%, that is like 400,000 engineers, somewhere around there. We're losing our money right now because we are constructing some government administration buildings. Since we have some bureaucracy issues and there's several states that aren't getting full taxation capacity, it looks like 2 states here. So we're getting that taken care of and just trying to get the bureaucracy issues fixed. So I think I built like, I don't know, maybe 5 or 6 or something like that. And so we got that being worked on. But yeah, we're going to be ending the series with this here episode, and that's largely because very few people, or about half of the people that were watching the series, returned after our break, which was about what I expected. That's generally what I typically see when I take a week off, or a week and a half, or whatever it is. Usually about a half of the viewers that were watching a series will come back, so it's not something you typically want to do. I often try and time my series to fit with the vacation so that they end like right before our vacation, just so we don't have that kind of situation where, a lot of people don't come back to the series, which is understandable after like a week and a half break. Now, the game only goes to 1936, so it seems like we should be able to get there fairly quick. That's if we were making the same pace that we were earlier in the series, where we were getting like at least 5 years per episode, but some of the episodes we were getting like 10 years in one video. So we made pretty rapid progress in this series compared to the United States one, since that was far more videos and we didn't even get this far. Part of the reason for that is because that was a beginner guide tutorial style series. So a lot of explanations of the mechanics and stuff that took time. We haven't made much faster progress here, but right now we are getting about 3 to 4 years per episode. That's what I'm hoping we get in this one, so that we can get these states here in Korea incorporated. I think it was 3 years left when we started today's episode. So I'd like to get these done just to see where we'll be sitting on our attempt to do the Restoration Industrialize Japan journal entry here. I don't think we'll be at the 70%. If we had finished these ones up, if they had been urbanized, then maybe. But yeah, we have not gotten those 2 states fully urbanized yet. I don't even think they're that far along, actually. Yeah, you got level 1 here and level 2 here. And a big part of that is the lack of population. But as you can see, I am building textile mills in these 2 locations to try and get a bit of urbanization, because we haven't been building the urban stuff here. So that's one reason why we haven't really urbanized much. It's all been like the rural resources. So we get the automatic machine guns. So we can go ahead and switch over to those production methods now, and the bonus that grants is higher defense, morale damage, kill rate, and negative 25% provinces lost. Also going to increase our army power projection. All right, excellent. So we'll switch over to those 2. Did it require more more ammunition and more small arms here? So we might need to take a look at those. I got a lot of stuff building over here, so we can kind of talk about the series ending. But yeah, it's largely due to the fact that we did lose so many viewers, and I think it would take so long for us to finish this up, despite the few years we have left, like 20-something years left. But yeah, I still think it would take, I think by episode 20, we should probably be ending it around episode 20, depending on how many wars we did. Alright, so this is a Russian Revolution. Big ol' Russian Revolution. It looks like China's going to be helping out with it, so they'll be distracted. So we're going to go and declare neutrality in both of these, but it's interesting to know. More problems in Greece. Another communist rebellion. So that's not the first communist, or you know what, actually the last one was a fascist rebellion, wasn't it? So first they had fascists rise up, and now they have communists. So Greece has all kinds of problems. You know, now that we have a little bit of authority, there is one law that I wanted to work on, see if we can't get it passed. And that is the Social Security one, the poor laws. So I think we're going to go ahead and switch over to poor laws, or try to. It's 26% chance of success, and this is going to result in us having welfare payments. It'll help increase our standard of living, which is going back up, but it did decline by quite a bit. Back when we brought in Korea, I think we're sitting at 18, somewhere around there, 18 point something. You can see the decline there. And so yeah, trying to get it back up to around where it was at. Another thing that would be helpful is changing up our migration laws so that those that are discriminated could migrate to other places. We got a bunch of things going on here for us to declare neutrality in that we don't care about. Looks like Russia has another war that's about to break out over Moldavia, or a revolution there. And we're going to go with the same option we've been going with here. So yeah, hopefully we can get this passed in a reasonable amount of time. We don't have a ton of authority right now. We have a little bit. So getting 3.1% enactment time reduction. We're still mainly using all of our authority for the greener grass campaign. Though of course we are using 200 for the consumption tax on services, which we might not need anymore. We're building the gold reserves up again, and we're at 156,000 on our balance, and that's just going up. GDP is increasing dramatically because we've constructed all these things that I set up, so we've already gone through those. And that's another thing, is that at this point in the game, I don't really enjoy it as much. It's just far too much time that we have to spend, going through here and working with the construction queue, just getting things set up. Especially at this point when you have this high GDP, you're making a lot of money, so you can construct quite a bit at once, and we could even construct more than if we wanted to. Because look at our investment pool, we're still going up on the investment pool. So again, we could even do more, but already it feels like this is a bit much with how much time it takes to do all this. But yeah, let's go and get some stuff set up. Clearly, we're having some luxury furniture issues. There must be like a really high demand for it or something. So we can also look at trading for some of this because clearly we're not getting enough. We have 2,300 convoys. I'm building a bunch of ports, so those are going to step up soon. So yeah, let's go and do a couple of these and hope that they'll increase in size. I'm just surprised that's not profitable given the price here, but maybe everybody has high furniture costs. So yeah, we're going to get more of the furniture manufacturers. And what we could do is build these over here as well if we have any population. Is glass expensive enough to justify? Yeah, we'll just build the glass works just to keep one thing there. And then with the furniture manufacturers, we'll just keep these wherever they're currently being built. Yeah, we still have plenty of population here. So let's go ahead and build here. We get like 10 of these in each location. And then 5 over here for a total of 25, and we'll see how much of a dent that makes. Now we need to get the power plants. I built a ton of these, but clearly it was not enough. All right, so we'll just go with these 2 locations that we're currently in. So go ahead and build up like 15 here, 10 here, because there is a huge balance and difference here as well. In fact, that's not even going to take care of most of it. We should probably build a bit more actually. Yeah, let's go and keep on building. Let's go and go up by 25 here and 15 here. Right, so that'll keep them building for a while. Coffee, did a little bit of the coffee construction before we started here. Might still be building actually. I'm not sure. Might have already done it though. We can get another oil rig here, so we're going to get that. Always want to get the oils and the oil and the rubber whenever we can. And the coffee, that's right. So yeah, if we have the population here, then we'll build. I don't want to build in the Solomon Islands though. We got that law passed very quick. Stark difference from what we experienced experiencing earlier in the series. Getting this law passed very easily. There's a lot of support for it though. So we did appease the industrialists and the trade unions, but pissed off the landowners. Pretty standard for what we've been experiencing in this campaign. And that does mean that we now have a shortage of bureaucracy that we need to get taken care of. So let's go ahead and build some government administration buildings. Let me just see if there's anywhere. Yeah, it doesn't look like there's anywhere we have to build these right now. And we'll probably base this off of population. Yeah, I think that's what we'll do here. Because nowhere really needs it. And these places have high population, so I wouldn't be surprised that they end up having issues with the taxes here. So yeah, let's go ahead and build up in all these locations. So we'll go up by like 5 there. I should have took those up to the top. And you know what, we're also going to get rid of one of these. Let's go ahead and get these done, so that we're no longer facing the tax waste there. Also build a few here. And then we'll see how we're looking on bureaucracy. We actually need a little bit of a excess bureaucracy. I guess we'll do 5 here as well, so we can invest more in those institutions. So get that taken care of. Let's go back into here, see what we want to construct next. That's right, we're gonna do the glass, I think. Though we could do iron and steel as well. I built those before, but clearly it was not enough. So let's go ahead and get more steel mills. Might have to start building another location soon, because they're starting to run low on population. We'll go and get them up to 80, I suppose. And then maybe after that, you'd want to start building them in a different location. And then we need to get the iron mines as well. And let's do here, because they have such a high population. I think we're just going to go all the way up. We will have to build more rails there, of course. That's to be expected. Let me see if there's anywhere that needs rails right now. Looks like we got one location right here, but they might still be facing... No, they're not. Devastation is done. Okay, so now that we know that the devastation is done here, let's go ahead and build some rails. I think I'll fix their lack of market access. And the next thing we'd want to do is that glass. So let's go ahead and work on that in the colonies, the islands. So yeah, we'll just kind of dip around, see who has some population that we can make use of. Doesn't look like a lot of them do have anything. Nah, we kind of already have maximized the use of most of this. So not a whole lot to be done here. Yeah, we've already made use of all their population. What about over here? I know we're not at level 5 here either, so yeah, we can build one more there. Not a lot of excess population, but that's okay. Okay, and then these ones we're building other stuff. I think we're doing textile mills here instead. So yeah, if they have the population, we'll build the textile mills, which, yeah, they don't really have much at the moment. And we got a few things to be taken care of over here. We got 3 diplomatic actions to declare neutrality in. Let's go ahead and do that. Again, it just becomes very tedious at this point in the game. And this is another reason why we're ending that campaign, is once you get to this point, I find that the game, Victoria 3, just becomes more tedious than anything else. You know, with the construction and how much you have to utilize that and be just sitting there adding to it. Not exactly the most entertaining gameplay when you're doing it so often, because that is the core gameplay loop of Victoria 3, a gameplay loop that I actually enjoy. I do enjoy doing it, but I just wish there was more to do in the game, and then yeah, at the end it becomes just too much. Just too much, guys. Yeah, we're just gonna have to take the prestige hit, I think, because yeah, that's a lot of money for 5 years, and this is one of those problems that you see with any Paradox game that uses the your total country income, how much you make annually. Whenever it bases these expenses off that, it just results in these massive costs, and it just doesn't feel like it's worth what you're getting once you're a more richer country. So yeah, we're just gonna have to take the prestige loss, unfortunately. I mean, we're still gonna be sitting at number 2. Nothing's really gonna change that. But yeah, it's at this point in the game that I do find that it becomes a little bit tedious. And so yeah, that's another reason why we're ending the series. But I think we would have finished if we had not had the vacation and viewers were still here watching and enjoying. You know, we had the same amount of views we were getting before, which wasn't a lot, but I think it'd be enough to do another, you know, 5 videos or so to complete the series, play another week or whatever, real life week, I mean. And then yeah, we could have got to 1936 and completed it. We did get the international exchange standards. That's more minting. That'll help us with the money. And lower loan interest rates, which I think we're sitting on loans right now, yeah, because we are using credit currently. None of those are the techs that we were setting up to get, which is the automatic bottle blowers for the glass. That'd be really helpful for getting population back in all of our colonies. So I want to say we have to get to sometime in 1915, looks like. Nope, looks like it's got to be a little bit further. 1916 is when we'll be able to see how our situation here looks with the industrialized Japan once all Korea has been added, which they are all at level 5. Urban center actually much higher than that due to all the building we've done there. All right, so we did get nitrogen fixation, and we'll go ahead and switch up all these now. And so we'll want to go ahead and do get the fertilizer first and the chemical plants. And that's going to require more oil and sulfur. It could become a problem with all that oil being needed. So I suppose there's that. And fertilizer is not exactly expensive, but it would help with all the other stuff. So we're going to go ahead and switch over to all that anyways, even if it does cause some problems. Because yeah, I'd like to go to the chemical fertilizers. Grain will become super cheap here. So yeah, we're going to switch over to that. It does seem like that might cause labor issues though. You can see here that, you know, we got 85,000 more farmers, but then the laborers and clergy was only 70-something thousand. That's what we lost here. Of course, remember, we're going backwards, so it's the opposite. But yeah, it does result in us actually needing more people for the rice farms. I suppose it's not a huge problem because I think we don't have any rice farms in the locations where we have real shortages of labor, so it shouldn't be a problem. I did have one more law that I figured we'd pass here. That's the migration controls. Go to the no migration controls. Now this would cause some irritation with some of the interest groups. I'm not too worried about any of it. We do lose some of those bonuses, which is a shame. Industrialists are really the only ones who like this, and they already really like us. But yeah, we're gonna switch over to that, guys, because yeah, I think it'd be helpful allowing hops that we discriminate against to move elsewhere. So we got the automatic bottle blowers. That's what we're waiting on. That's gonna be super helpful. Of course, gonna need more oil, more tools. So we're gonna have to get some of that constructing here. But let's go and first change the glass works up. So we have not changed over to the houseware plastics, nor are we going to. That requires far too much oil. Glass would become far too cheap. And yeah, it's not even reducing the amount of labor or anything like that, just changing the labor up, which would cause qualification problems. So I don't really see any advantage of doing that, but we will go ahead and switch over to this. That's going to get us back 337,000 laborers. It's going to cost a lot of oil and tools, of course, as we're well aware. So that does mean that we're going to need to, well, I mean, there's not much we can do about oil besides trading, because that's all the oil right there, guys. There's one more rubber plantation we get, so go ahead and do that. Yeah, not much we can do. So we're going to have to instead set up an import route with the United States, apparently. Looks like that's going to be the best option. And that'll probably grow in size, but yeah, I don't know if we'll be able to fix these discrepancies here. So you can see we still have some high demand for electricity, but we're still building those. So I think we'll wait until it's done, just see like where we're at. And then, are we building the steel mills? Let's just take a look here. So we're getting the iron mines. Yeah, those are still building. There's the power plants, there's the steel mills. Okay. So some of the stuff that's really expensive is going to get cheaper. We can go ahead and get more of the sulfur, though, if we don't already have that building. We do not. So let's go ahead and get up, just fully deplete all the sulfur resource there. And then I know we're building iron mines, so we'll probably wait on that. We could go ahead and fix some of these other issues here. Let me just see if we can do anything about the coffee. Yeah, it looks like we can still build a little bit here. Not much, but yeah, we'll go ahead and do that, since we don't have to worry about the urbanization in those locations. And then the explosives, we'll go ahead and do that as well with the chemical plants. And we are starting to run a little low on labor in our current locations where we're building these. We'll go ahead and finish it up there. So I might have to find a new place for us to build. And then we know that tools are going to get more expensive. So we're going to need to do that. But let's do the paper first, and then we'll do the tools. So yeah, we'll do the paper mills. Get them up to level 50 here. And then we'll do the tooling workshops as well. And they'll be level 100. So yeah, we'll get those tooling workshops. I've also been building these over here, as you guys can see. Just trying to get you make use of all their labor that they have here, because yeah, they got a ton of labor. All right, so to keep it busy for a little while, though, I did forget to select a tech. So I'm not sure if there's anything else that we wanted to get here that's level 4. Yes, let's get the electric arc process for the steel mills. Yeah, we'll go and get that. I don't think we'll be doing the tractors right now, though. Would reduce the number of laborers, but not really in areas where we need to. So I think we'll have to wait to get that. Although I suppose we won't be getting much before the end of the series, huh, since we're ending it in today's episode. Finally burning off some of those radicals. Looks like they might have, the fact that we're increasing loyalists might have done that, because if somebody's a radical and then you get loyalist, then it will just remove them from being a radical. If they're not anything, then they'll become a loyalist. Yeah, I do enjoy the core gameplay loop of construction in Victoria 3. It is fun. I enjoy doing it anyways, and industrializing the economy and stuff. I just wish there was more to the game, because there's really not anything else. And I don't think we're going to be doing any more Victoria 3 series for a little while, guys. I think we're going to take a break from Victoria 3 and wait until, I don't know, at least until the 1.2 patch. Maybe the first expansion or something. Because, yeah, there's not a lot to the game right now. Outside of that core gameplay loop. That's really all it has. And so even if you enjoy the core gameplay loop, you don't want to only do that. You know, that's not the only thing you want to do, but that's really all there is to do in the game, unfortunately. Yeah, there's just not a whole lot else that the game has to offer, which is a shame. And it's a shame, guys. So we're going to build a bunch of these. But yeah, like the military system is absolute trash. Good God, is it trash. I am not a fan of the military system. Because I feel like they could have done something special with this new, hands-off military system. They could have done something that was actually pretty good. But that's not what we got. And so, I mean, there's certainly room for improvement, and I think they will improve it. But as of right now, the military system is horrible. So we're gonna we'll just go with this one, the 10% enactment success chance. We're already not, too low on the success chance, at least for us. 35% is not bad. So yeah, we're fine with that. We're going up to level 10 on all of these locations. Because not only do we need, the convoys, but these locations will start having more and more problems with the market access. See, we already have some issues there. Might get another railway here. Just trying to boost that up. Actually, let's go and tick that up to the top as well, because we got a lot of stuff that we're building in that location. We do need to declare a neutrality in here in these 2 diplomatic plots that we don't care about. But yeah, I feel like the military system was a huge letdown. Paradox really dropped the ball with it, with something that could have been really good. And it's terrible. It's just sitting there. It's not what they told us that it was going to be, so you don't have to micromanage in it. It's heavily micro-intensive. You got to sit there and babysit your generals all the time and make sure they're not leaving the front, or, going to the wrong front, or just doing something else they're just not supposed to, something you don't want to do, and it's not helpful at all. So discord within the Buddhist monks. Let's go ahead and go with, I think we're going to go with this option here to increase the interest group of pop attraction of the industrialists, which is, of course, our ruling IG right now. And we don't need as much of a boost to the success chance because it's doing pretty well right now. Some people want us still to go to landed voting. Well, I say some people, but it actually has very high support here. Luckily, radicalism is pretty low. It's not too much of an issue. We should be continuing to see a decrease to the radicals, hopefully. Yeah, looks like it is changing. About 40-something thousand, now 50-something thousand. I mean, it's kind of back and forth, of course, as usual, but yeah, I think we should see a drop in the number of radicals overall. All right, so let me just see if how far away these guys are from incorporating. We're looking at 16 months. That's the bare minimum I'd like to do here in the finale episode. I want to see where we're at on this journal entry once we've incorporated all this territory. I wish we could have incorporated this as well, but we're just a little bit short on finishing up the colonization here, so can't do it. And no. Just declare neutrality. But yeah, at this point of the game, it just feels like you're just being confused with everything that's going on here in the bottom right, side of the screen. You don't have any idea what any of this is. It's all just a bunch of spam, essentially, and all the good stuff, the important stuff that you need to know is, hidden in that spam. So it's completely useless, but you're constantly seeing it pop up, and then it pulls your attention to the screen, and it's just so bad here at the end of the game. And then you have all the diplomatic plays you have to, say you don't want anything to do with, and declare your neutrality. So yeah, it's just a ton of useless, pointless micro and clicking on stuff that's not exactly fun. So yeah, I just don't like the back half of Victoria 3's gameplay right now. It's really fun in the beginning, or at least I find it really fun and entertaining. But then, typically I'd say the late 1800s is when I start feeling less engaged with its systems, because there's just so little to do. And it absolutely does not help that I don't want to make use of the warfare system. That's obviously a huge problem. You don't want to engage with the warfare. And so that's unfortunate. But even if the warfare system was garbage, even if it is garbage, there's still a lot the game could have to offer if it succeeded in other areas, if it gave you more to do. But like, what else is there to do? They said politics was going to be a huge part of the game, but is it? Is it really? I feel like it's not. You just pick the laws you want to pass, and then you basically play almost no role in that. You might have little options and events that you can pick between this choice or that choice or whatever, but for the most part, this is completely hands-off as well. It does very much, to me, feel like much of the game plays itself, which is a huge problem for me. I know some people like that. They keep it going on in the background while they do other stuff, but that's not how I like to play games. I want to be more engaged in them. So yeah, I feel like that's the biggest problem with everything, is you have one system, the construction, which is incredibly micro-intensive. The player has to do all that. Now that is changing. We'll talk about that in a minute. That is changing in the next patch. But right now, in the current version, you do all the construction. Nobody in your country does anything else. The government's the one that picks every single building that's going to get constructed. You choose that. So that's incredibly micro-intensive. They told us they wanted to reduce the micro, but that's not what they did. This game requires a ton of it. So that's really micro-intensive, while the other mechanics are, there's nothing to them. There's very little player interaction or involvement. So yeah, I feel like that's really the core problem with the gameplay, is it needs a lot more to do. That's what I'd like to see Paradox work on next with this game, is give the player more to do besides just building. And I guess we're going to go to 20 here, because why not? Yeah, they just need to give the player more to do overall. And they have a better game on their hand. If you feel more engaged with other mechanics besides just the construction. So I guess we could build here. Since, yeah, urbanization's not an issue there. Let's go ahead and step it up there. And over here, this is a place where we actually want to urbanize. So probably shouldn't build. Yeah, we're not going to do that. Let's instead make sure we're building urban stuff over here. So we could build these over here as well. I was doing the textile mills. You know, and I think we will go ahead and continue doing the textile mills in these 2 locations, because it's not going to make a big difference. Furniture manufacturers, I don't know if we actually need these, but we'll go ahead and build some more. We'll get, let's see how we want to do this. Still trying to build in our core territory, the mainland here. I want to make sure we're not just only building in Korea, because we've invested very heavily in Korea. All right, so the glass works. We're going to dip back through the islands real quick and see if there's anything, any people here. Looks like we got a couple there. We can capitalize on. Yeah, we can get one there as well. All right, so yeah, we can extend this a bit here, and just trying to get these places urbanized. Again, we have made progress here, but it's just been really slow going, and we're nowhere near what we need to be at, unfortunately. And Korea will not be enough either for us to complete this, so we really did need to get some of those islands up to level 5 if we wanted to complete that before the end of the series here, which I would have loved to have gotten this completed, but it's just because of my mistake with those islands. It just wasn't easy to do. Let's go ahead and go with the... Yeah, we'll go with this one again. Same option here. Increase it by 10%. Now 57% chance, so should be able to get that done fairly quick. But yeah, the one of the major changes that Paradox just announced in the last developer diary is that hops are now going to be able to do some construction on their own. So kind of like Victoria 2, but hopefully much better, because in Victoria 2 it was useless. They were terrible. The AI just did not do a good job managing your economy, which was unfortunate, because in certain economic systems you're essentially forced to just sit there and watch them screw your economy up, and there wasn't really much you could do. So it kind of made it felt like you had the choice of either constant micro and building everything, or to not build anything and watch the gameplay itself and watch the AI do it horribly. So it wasn't a very good choice. But the idea of it is something that has been asked for since Victoria 3 was first announced, and was, you know, stated that they weren't going to have a system where the pops build on their own. I know a lot of people were unhappy about that. Me personally, not so much, because for me, I feel like I don't really want the game to play itself, as I mentioned earlier, and I feel like that's what it's like if, you know, the core gameplay mechanic is construction, and then you take that out of my hands, then what am I doing? It seems like, well, while this is too much, what we're doing here is far too much micro, but what do you have if all the all the investment pool is taken out of your hands, which is what's happening. The investment pool will instead be controlled by the pops, which makes sense. It does. It's logical, but it doesn't mean it's going to make for good gameplay, because it seems like so much of the construction is through the investment pool. And so what do you do if you don't have control of that investment pool anymore? I suppose we're going to build these over here. Get like 20 more or whatever. So we'll get that. But yeah, I'm not as excited about it. If they do it well, I just don't expect they will, because Paradox's AI has always been garbage in all their games. The AI is terrible at everything it does. It's Hearts of Iron 4, EU4, Victoria, CK, it doesn't matter. The AI is terrible. So like, why would I want, you know, the AI to be controlling all my construction? Now you can still construct with your own government funds. You just won't have control in the investment pool. Now they have included the option to turn it off, so that you can have it the way it currently is. And we got no migration controls passed. Excellent. I think that's gonna be the last law that we work on here. But yeah, you will be able to turn it off as a game rule if you want it to be, if you want it to use the current method. That will be a possibility still. So yeah, nothing, you know, nothing would change in that case for you and the way you play. But the fact of the matter is that it's defaulted to being on. So that's the way the game's supposed to be played. That's the way it's going to be balanced as well. And so that's probably the way I'll play. And you know, if the AI does it well, maybe it won't be an issue. I just don't have high expectations for Paradox's AI at all. They're just so bad at everything they do. Paradox has just never really nailed that aspect. So yeah, I'm just not very excited about it, as some people are. Some people are ecstatic about them changing this. We'll see. I'm going to keep an open mind. Maybe it'll be great. Maybe I'll like it better because there'll be less construction. But again, you got to give me something else to do. So I don't know what they're going to do about that until they give you more to do. Because, yeah, you're going to do a lot less construction if you don't have the investment pool in your control anymore. And what's interesting, and I think this is a good thing, is that they'll have 2 separate construction queues now. Because that would be kind of pointless doing it if you still had control of the construction queue. Even though the AI is picking what they want to build, it doesn't matter if you can just cancel it all. And so you will not be able to interact with the AI's construction queue, which again, they're calling it the pops. The pops are the ones that are picking what to build. So it'll primarily be the capitalists, because they're the main ones who add to the investment pool, but aristocrats do as well. And they're also increasing the number of pops that add to the investment pool. So there'll be like some others, like farmers and such, that will add to it. So if the aristocrats are your primary source in the investment pool, then they're going to want to construct, rural buildings. And capitalists are going to want to construct, urban buildings. And what's interesting, if you think about it, that will help them avoid one of the key issues with the game right now. Let's get some tea plantations going here. One of the key issues with the game right now is how easy it is to take the power from the landed aristocracy. Like, they don't resist it at all. Like, they may resist you changing laws now. I guess they didn't do it when the game launched, but now they're a little bit better at resisting some of the laws that you might change that might reduce their authority and their power. And we don't have any bureaucracy right now. We need to get that fixed. So yeah, they might resist that, but they don't resist you actually reducing their power by building stuff that is going to result in them having less power. You're building things that are going to result in capitalists mainly working them, then yeah, it's not beneficial for them. Let me just see if there's anywhere. Yeah, looks like we need this here. So we're going to build, I don't know, we'll just build like 10 of them. I don't even care at this point. Let's build a bunch of these. Already got 50 there. I'm actually surprised that this is not having any issues here in our capital. So we'll get like 7 here. And yeah, you see bureaucracy is a huge problem, so I'm going to need to increase it further. I'm going to get up to level 10 over here. And these places are so populous, that's the reason why I'm building so many over here. And I don't think there's anywhere else that actually has insufficient taxation. We're just trying to get this current bureaucracy issue fixed. So we'll go to 25 there. We're going to build a bit more here, guys. Alright, so that'll keep them busy for a little while. See if we need to build any rels anywhere. Looks like we're good to go everywhere. As of right now. Yeah. Getting all our islands here, which is good because we don't have much labor there. But yeah, I think it could be a good thing eventually, since it'll reduce the amount of micro for construction that you'll have to do. A lot of it, actually, because again, the investment pool is mainly what you utilize for building. We're going to switch over to this immediately, get more steel. Go ahead and switch over to the last production method here. That will require more iron and electricity, so we'll have to take care of that. We also need to get a new tech selected. And I think we're going to take a look at the society text, because it's been a while since we've been in the society text. So like getting the elevator should be helpful, so you have less infrastructure problems. We've seen a lot of issues with that. Get more authority, that's always nice to have. So I might do that next. But let's go and start with this one, because this will be quicker to be done since we've already gotten some of it. So 6 to 8 months to get it researched, which means you should actually be able to do it before we end the episode here. 7 months is where we'll get these done, and then we'll be able to see where we're at. We've been sitting at 41.17% for a very long time, since we actually haven't had any success urbanizing anywhere that wasn't already urbanized when this whole thing started. But yeah, it could be a really good system overall, eventually, as long as you give us other stuff to do. So I'm excited to see what happens with it, but I'm not excited about the implementation right now, just because I think it's, what else are you going to do? But we'll see, because this is the first thing they've announced with the 1.2 patch, so they're going to realize that as well. You're going to have a lot less to do. So they got to give you some other stuff to do, right? So we'll see as the developer diaries you release, and we'll just see exactly what they have in store for us. Well, let's go and build this one up. I know we're starting to run a little low on labor over here, so probably want to go ahead and get something building over here. I did not look at their state traits in Korea at all. I don't know if there's anything useful here. But yeah, we'll just see if there's, you know, maybe something that might be considered. For resources, seems that's a no. Okay. Yeah, I just realized we hadn't looked at all since we had gotten control of these. I suppose we'll build over here. Of course, we will need to get more rails there as well. But yeah, there's a ton of population here, so we'll get like 20 of those. And then, yeah, we'll get the rails here as well. And we're going to take these up to the top. We're just going to build a bunch of them. So get that started. And while we are building here, we still have a lot of stuff we could be doing. Did we switch over all of our logging camps? Yeah, I didn't know if any of these new ones weren't on the hardwood production, but it seems that they all are. Okay, so hardwood is now a problem. We can look to see if there's anything to import. Yeah, it looks like we can get a lot from the Russians. I thought we were already importing it from the Russians. Maybe we stopped because it wasn't beneficial anymore for a little while. That's a possibility. Yeah, nothing we can do with the oil rigs. But we could do more welding stations, I suppose. Yeah, I guess we'll do that. That'll help. So yeah, we'll build all of these. Yeah, I guess we'll do it. I know they're short on labor, but that'll be alright. We can go ahead and take a look and see if there's any more logging camps. So we just built there. Yeah, there's really just not a whole lot here, unfortunately. Yeah, just not much. I guess we'll go ahead and build in these anyways, but yeah, we're gonna build all these just to get the wood. As you can see, both of these are now expensive, so that's becoming a problem for us, and we just don't have any recourses to fixing it in our own territory. We can go and get a lot of iron mines though. In fact, I'm just gonna go and get all 34 that we have left here. And that'll keep them busy again for like a week. That's like how quickly we get through all that. And I guess we could do the tooling workshops as well. And let's do it over here. Get up to, I don't know, 25 or something like that. Do a few more here. So a lot of tooling workshops that we have in this location here. All right, so let's see where these states are at. 12 weeks away, guys. And then we'll be able to see what the situation is once they've all been incorporated. See what the situation is for our urbanization. Let's go and declare neutrality in all these, because we are not going to do any wars here. If we were to keep playing, the next war would have been over the Philippines. Or China. We could have conquered some territory from China as well, which would make sense to conquer all this here. So yeah, we could have done that, or we could do the Spanish Philippines. I think that would have been our next two steps. China and the Spanish Philippines. And then eventually we would have started conquering all of Indonesia. We also knew we were going to end up going to war with the Dutch over this, so you could have just added a bunch more stuff. And that's where we got that much needed rubber. There's also oil over here too. So could have got all that. But yeah, that would have been our future if we did continue to play. I don't think it makes much sense to start a war here in the finale though, so that's why we're not doing one right now. We can't go and take a look at our institutions. Could build up the colonial affairs so we can try and colonize there faster. We could also go with the welfare payments. This is 771 each, so we could do 2 of these and be all right. Yeah, just try and colonize this faster. And we're almost done here. And we just got an achievement, Enlightened Despot. So I don't know if you guys can see when the Steam achievements pop up, but yeah, the Enlightened Despot one that I just got was for having all electrical streets while also being a autocracy. So yeah, apparently I hadn't done that. I've only played this style of government as Prussia. Yeah, I think that was the only time. That was my only campaign. Japan, obviously, when I played Japan last time, I also did that, but I didn't get as nearly as far as we have already. Yeah, apparently I didn't get the electric streets. I didn't play this long there either. This is the longest campaign I've done, actually. I don't think I've ever played to 1916. Again, I typically get bored by this point, because it just feels like you already won the game. I mean, we might not be number one here, so I guess if that's your goal, then we haven't won. I think we said we were going to do for the authority next. Yeah, we'll go and do it for the authority, but we could also go with that one, the malaria prevention, so we can get the colonial affairs institution up higher. Not that we'll get that done in time. All right, so these are 4 days away, and then we'll be able to see. All right, so we now incorporated all of Korea, and we can see what percentage we're looking at here now. So 54.54%. That's the dent it made. So still nowhere near enough, guys. You know, if we got these two, even that would not be enough. We're urban center 3 there, urban center 2 here. Yeah, that would not be enough either. The core is the islands. So there's just too many island states here that aren't anywhere close to getting to urban center 5. Yeah, we're at 1 in most of these. A few of them are at level 2, but yeah, we're nowhere near close enough, unfortunately. Glassworks helps. We'd have to build a lot more, and of course the main problem is just lack of labor in those locations. Though we did get more labor when we got that one tech. Clearly it wasn't enough. We'll go and skip through here and see if there's just not, still just not much here for construction. Again though, as I was saying, I did expect this to be an issue, an almost impossible issue to fix without conquering a bunch of territory and then integrating it. And of course that territory would have to already be level 5. So yeah, it was just my mistake here, guys, that stopped us from being able to do it. Real shame. I didn't even think about it. I was just incorporating states. And yeah, I didn't expect it to be a problem, because when I did my other Japan playthrough, I didn't even do any colonization to that one. I just did conquest. And so yeah, I never actually colonized this area at all. But yeah, it shouldn't have been done. We shouldn't have done it that way. We can go and get more government administration buildings. Clearly we need them. Let me just see if there's anywhere where we should get it. Looks like that's a no. It seems that we're fine everywhere. We don't have many here, which is surprising considering the population there. You think we'd need to have a bit there to not have taxation issues, but clearly that hasn't been the case. And I guess we'll do more over here as well, so we don't run short on our bureaucracy. You know, guys, I think that's probably good here, because there's a few things I want to look at before we end the series, and we also need to talk about what we're going to be doing next. But yeah, I wanted to see how we look when it comes to our comparison on GDP. For Austria-Hungary, we now are number 1. So we have surpassed Austria-Hungary. Of course, nobody is even remotely close to us. The United States has increased it by a lot. Yeah, you see it's going up, but China's not really doing much there. Yeah, nobody's really even close to catching up to us two, but look at this, just a huge discrepancy. This is just, Austria-Hungary's broken as hell, man. And there's all kinds of problems with Victoria 3 still, you know, months after release, which is a shame. It still doesn't seem very well balanced, in my opinion. Still kind of broken in many aspects. There's always one country that just does way better than everybody in like every single playthrough. So clearly the balance is not working right. It's fine for Austria-Hungary to be the number 1 country, but they shouldn't be the number 1 country every single time, right? I mean, of course, you know, in history they weren't the number 1 country in the 1900s. They were a declining country by this point, and of course, with World War I, there would be no Austria-Hungary anymore. And so yeah, it's just really strange that of all the countries, they're the one that's always doing the best. But clearly, it's something broken, something not balanced properly. There should not be such a huge discrepancy for the AI. Now, the player, you expect it. The player is always going to do way better. You're always going to see huge discrepancies between the player and the AI. But when the AI is having problems like this, yeah, that tells you it's not working properly. But yeah, we did reach the number 1 GDP. We did not get the number 1 slot here, rank, probably due to multiple factors. We have a lower population in Austria-Hungary, a lower standard of living. Of course, prestige is based off of all these factors and many others. So that's the reason why we're lower, is because our prestige overall is lower. We also took that one hit. Was it like a 10% or 5% penalty to prestige? So that is having some effect that will eventually wear off, and maybe might be enough actually for us to get to the number 1 slot. So it's a shame we didn't get to the number 1 slot, but some of that has been because of Korea. Us taking in Korea's. Well, it results in some of our stats being higher, like our population, obviously, as well as the GDP. That has allowed us to build a lot more. It's also reduced some of our other stats because Korea was not doing as well as we were doing over here. But let's see where the standard of living is right now. Yeah, as you can see throughout all of our territory, we have very good standard of living, and it's just Korea, with the exception of this one province here, Gwanbuk. I don't know how to pronounce that, but that's the only location that seems to have a decent standard of living. Everywhere else is much lower. Looking at the GDP, obviously a lot of that is in our core 3 states here. But Korea is getting a significant amount of our GDP too. We've been building there, making use of all that labor that they had and hadn't capitalized on. We also want to go ahead and take a look at our population. We looked at this in the beginning of the game, so we'll take a look at how things appear at the end. So here with the professions, you see we still have a large number of laborers in our country, 27.1%, that's 21.8 million. So over a quarter of our people are laborers, but nowhere near as many peasants, only 16.8%, but still that's 13.5 million. Machinist, that would also be much lower, by the way, if we didn't have Korea. Korea has a ton of peasants, as we've seen. The rest of our country does not have that much peasants. It's really just Korea. So yeah, if you take out Korea, then this would be a much, much lower number. Machinists are 15.6%, clerks 13.9%, engineers 7.86%, farmers 4.85%. Ton of capitalists, 2.27 million capitalists in our country, only 728,000 aristocrats now. The political strength, most of it is in the hands, not most, I mean, they have over a quarter of the political strength here, the capitalists. Engineers and machinists have a lot, though. Even the laborers, due to their large population, they have almost 10% of the political strength. Peasants are irrelevant, though, 0.27%. If you guys remember when we started the campaign, they did have a lot of power. And I think the reason why is because they're all Koreans, and the Koreans are being discriminated against. I think they are. We have to look at our cultural laws. But I believe we're discriminated against everybody who's not Japanese. Let me take a look here. I don't recall what we have this set to. So we're at the national supremacy. So basically, they just have to share a cultural trait and a heritage cultural trait. So I don't know that they actually do. We'd have to look at like the Korean, look at their population, their bonuses here. So if you look at Korean, their Korean language and East Asian heritage. So they'll share that with us, but obviously they don't share any other cultural traits because, we don't have the Korean language. We don't speak that. So therefore, they are being discriminated against, which you can see that here. Korean culture is discriminated against. So, yeah, that does mean that the reason why the peasants have such low power there is because they're all Koreans who are being discriminated against. Despite having 13.5 million total peasants, they have hardly any influence because they're all discriminated against. Now peasants already have less influence, period, but they would have a lot more, as we seen when we began the campaign, just due to sheer numbers. So as far as culture goes, only 70% is Japanese right now. Over a quarter of our country's population is 25.8%. That's just how populous Korea was. But with the political strength, look at the Koreans. They barely have any influence, simply due to the fact that they're being discriminated against. So almost all the political strength is in the hands of our own people. Religions haven't changed much. Looks like Buddhism's a little bit more popular due to Korea. Shinto's a little less popular. So this is our current political situation. As far as the standard of living, our upper strata has 39.1, so they're doing okay. They're doing great compared to the rest, but for the upper strata, that could be much higher. The middle strata is doing about average, what you'd expect middle strata to do. Again, that could be slightly higher, but it's not too bad. Lower strata is actually doing pretty well though. 15.5. That's pretty decent for the lower strata. So that's not too bad, even if, overall they're doing significantly worse than the upper and middle. There's not that huge of a discrepancy, as you can see from the lower and the middle, because I feel like the middle could be doing better, but the upper could definitely be doing much better than they are right now. But yeah, not too bad standard of living for the lower strata. I think the issue here is that these guys are having problems buying the stuff that they need, the goods, the buy packages. So if we were to just take a look, I guess we'll do capitalists. So let's take a look at some Japanese capitalists. And I want like a large number of them if we can find. That's 22,000. Well, that's Korean. And we want Japanese. So it seems that this would be the best pop to look at. See how they're doing. So these guys work in a railway. And they are affluent, 39. So that is the average for our our rich pops. Whoa, I didn't mean to zoom in there. So is there anything else that we want to look at in here? You can just see that they mostly support the industrialists. This is what we want to see, their economy and their consumption. So as far as their income, this is how they're doing right now. But we want to see the consumption. I'll see that down here, but we'll look at it here. And you can see that it's luxury furniture because luxury furniture is so expensive. So 26.5% of their expenditure is from the luxury furniture, and they don't actually need that much luxury furniture. It's just how expensive it is. So if we reduce the cost of luxury furniture, we could really help increase their standard of living some. Porcelain's not too bad. Services, that's because they buy so much services. That's the reason why it's such a high percentage, but it's actually really cheap here. Normally that'd be a much higher percentage. That 9% on tea, 8.5% is on groceries. Yeah, I think that's the main issue, is the luxury furniture. I think that's costing them a lot. Some of these other things they're not really buying much of, so that's not really having too much of an effect here. But yeah, that seems to be the main problem. So now if we were to look at, let's look at one of the poorer pops in our country. I don't know if there are going to be too many Japanese peasants, so let's take a look at laborers. Most of our country are laborers, so that makes sense. So we want to look at a Japanese large pop group here. 101,000 working in these tea plantations. So you can just look at our stats here. A lot of loyalists. Got a little over a third of them are loyalists. There's their income situation. And then looking at their consumption, 16.8% of their consumption is on just regular old clothes here, which aren't too bad of a price. Yeah, that's not really that bad. So that's just they need to buy a lot of it. Groceries are 9.9%. Some of them are buying luxury furniture because they have enough money for it, even though they're poor, and so that's causing them a lot. So yeah, we could even help our poor pops by reducing the cost of the luxury furniture. Grain is only 7.3% of their total expenditure. Not bad. They're spending more on tea right now, despite the fact that they don't buy much tea. They buy a ton of grain. Just grain's a fantastically low price. That's helping our pops out a lot. Our very low grain prices are really helping them have a higher standard of living. So that might explain why so many of our poorer pops are doing so well overall, because things like grain and services and furniture are so cheap. They're not spending much on these things that they would typically have to. So that's been pretty helpful for them. So that's the pop situation. Last thing to do here is to just kind of swoop through our territory up close, just see how it's changed in relation to the first episode when we first looked at all this. Just see how much more urbanized everything is. I mean, it hasn't changed that much, this area, but down here, yeah, very much more urbanized. Look at this area, just crazy. How many buildings we have all in here. There's hardly any territory that's not urbanized. So yeah, all throughout here, and then yeah, particularly down here, it's changed a lot too from what I'm seeing. And you can see we've completely filled up these islands with buildings. I'd like to see like one of these tiny little islands that we've tried so hard to urbanize. I mean, it's not bad for tiny little islands, though. Yeah, there's still obviously a lot of space there that they can add to. It's a lack of labor, lack of people. So it can only do so much in this area. But still not bad for what you typically see in these islands, because you don't normally invest and trying to urbanize and get people to move over to islands like these. It was, just required because of that mistake I made. Look at how much money we're currently earning. We could very easily switch back to the very low taxes now at this point. That'll help out our pops even more. And we'll have to keep the consumption taxes, of course. Not doing that well, we can turn those off. But yeah, that'd help our pops out quite a bit. Turn that off. We can even let it play a couple weeks here just to see what happens with that adjustment. But yeah, you definitely would see standard of living. It takes time for standard of living to increase or decrease, for that matter. So it wouldn't be an immediate effect here. But yeah, we'd probably see a lot less radicals, more loyalists, and we'd see the standard of living increase overall due to that change. Just having to pay less taxes is helpful for our people, and we can easily afford to do so. Look at the United States is conquering Mexico. So they didn't just get the American Southwest, they got part of Mexico, but they did not get the Northwest. So Oregon and Washington and Idaho. Yeah, they didn't get that. That's still under Quebec, Canada, which is free from Britain. So that's the way the Americas currently look. Looking at the colonization of Africa, the United States has been colonizing in Africa, as has Russia. So Russia has all this territory. Well, that's interesting. You're not really seeing the French. They have a little bit of territory. Maybe that's one reason the French aren't doing as well in this campaign. They don't have as much colonies. Same thing with the British. They haven't colonized as much either. All right, so very interesting situation there. Of course, here's Europe. We've looked at them a little bit in the campaign. Austria-Hungary just doing absolutely fantastic in this one. So yeah, that's the way the world currently looks here. And they never did complete the colonization. Well, I guess these guys are... Yeah, you can't just colonize there. You'd have to conquer them. But yeah, New Zealand is not fully in British hands. Overall, the British and French just have not done as well in this campaign. Austria-Hungary is doing absolutely fantastic. The Russians are doing all right as well. Yeah, the British and French have been lagging behind a bit, particularly the British with the loss of Canada, not as much colonization here in Africa. Yeah, you see they're not doing very well in this campaign compared to their rivals. Yeah, I don't think we'll be returning to the game until a DLC comes out or that 1.2 patch. I don't know if that's going to release with a DLC. I think it might. But maybe it's just a free patch and that's all there will be. But either way, until that patch comes, the DLC or whatever, I don't think we'll be returning to the game. Let's let it get developed a bit. That's all Paradox games. They need a couple years of development. It's unfortunate, but it's the way they do things. You gotta give them time to add to it and just give you more to do overall. So yeah, I'm looking forward to see what happens in the development of the game. And yeah, we'll return to Victoria 3 once it gets some type of major update. But for now, this is going to be the last series of Vicky 3, and until then. And again, I just feel like it just has some major issues that still need to be worked out. The warfare system has got to be improved because, good God, it's horrible. So yeah, I hope they're not going to add tactical control battles. They're never going to add that, I don't think, and nor do I want them to. I feel like they should work upon the system that they have in place and improve that. That's what I'd like to see happen. I'm actually fine with them removing the tactical control. It's just, it needs to be something better. It shouldn't be something worse, which is what they currently have. The current system, in my opinion, is worse than tactical control. Full manual control of units. I think we'd be better off with that, with the current system. But yeah, I'd like to see them actually keep this system and then make it better. So I'm sure we'll see that happen. I'd like to see them add more to do for the player as well. That's got to be one of the key things they work on, besides the normal stuff, fixing bugs, fixing the balance issues, quality of life issues, the UI. I mean, there's so much stuff that they got to work on. I think this game is not in a horrible state at launch for a Paradox game, but it's not as good a state as it could be. I think CK3, in my opinion, released in a better state, a more playable state, just a better state. CK3 has all those issues too. They had balance issues and bugs. They had, the fact they're lacking some of the gameplay options that they had in CK2, and there wasn't as much to do as what there is now, obviously, after several patches and expansions. But I feel like CK3 released in a better state, a more playable state. than this game has. And some of that didn't become apparent until I had played several campaigns, until I had played, I think I've played 5 or 6 campaigns at this point. And so now I got a little bit more time with the game under my belt. I do feel like I can confidently say this was definitely a game that they should have developed more before they released it. That's just my opinion. I felt like especially that initial launch version was a mess. So I really feel like they should have spent a bit more time on it. They also should have listened to the feedback of players a bit more. Paradox is getting worse and worse about that when it comes to pre-release. They seem to only want to listen to what the players have to say once it releases. They always have this viewpoint of, well, we know best, and anything we say is, we're the ones that have the experience with the game. We're the ones playing it. You're just basing your opinion off of developer diaries. So what do you know? But then it ends up being what we complain about in the developer diaries ends up being correct, and then they end up fixing it after release. Yeah, I'm considering doing a whole video just talk about Victoria 3 and the state of it and my opinions. Because I'd like to do the video if I can find the time, of course, which is always the difficult part. But yeah, I'd like to do a video to talk about the current state of Victoria 3 and mistakes that were made and things that did well and what I'd like to see them do over the ongoing development over the next several years. Some of the things I'd like to see them work on and add, as well as plans I have for modding, because I mod all Paradox games. I don't generally release my mods anymore. I used to back before I did YouTube, but I always mod all of them, and I've got my own plans for what I'm going to do in modding that I'm excited about working on whenever I, again, find the time to do so. But as for our next series, guys, I've already put up the poll for the next series, the patron poll. I announced this on Saturday in the community section, so many of you guys might have already read that post and already know about it. But yeah, the patron poll's been up for a few days now, and it is for Hearts of Iron 4. So we're going to be returning to Hoi 4. We only did the one campaign with the By Blood Alone expansion, and that one campaign also ended up ending with a bug. We had a problem with the save file where it was crashing every time I was attempting to load it, unfortunately due to a patch. And so we had to end that series well before it was over, and that was very unfortunate. We were playing as Italy in that campaign. If you watched it, you already know what happened in that one. But yeah, we only did that one series, and then Victoria 3 came out. Also, I moved right around then as well, moved out of Colorado. And so, the out-of-state move and Victoria 3 coming out meant that we didn't do anything after that campaign. So I'd like to return to the DLC. Hopefully, the patches that have released since then have fixed those problems that again, any Paradox game or DLC has at launch. So it'll be in a better state as far as balance and performance and bug issues. And so, yeah, we'll be returning to By Blood Alone, and we have 4 countries in the patron poll for the patrons to choose between. And these are all countries that have been in the polls before, nothing new here. And out of all of them, we've actually done series with one of them, I think. Well, let me go through them real quick. So the 4 choices are Spain. We did do a Spanish campaign once, but it was in a mod. It wasn't in vanilla. We'd never done it with their focus tree. That's actually the reason why we were playing with the mod, because at that point in time, Spain in vanilla did not have its own focus tree. So yeah, we haven't played with the vanilla focus tree yet. And so Spain is one option. They've been in the patron polls quite a bit, and they never won before, but they're doing much better this time. In fact, they might be in the lead right now. I'm not sure, because Greece is the second option, and they're very close to Spain. I think they were tied at one point, but I think Spain is ahead by a couple votes now. But Greece is another option that we could play as. We've never done a Greek campaign in Hoi 4. I did do that one rapid campaign where I farmed the Byzantine Empire and all that, but it was in one video, like a whole campaign in one video with commentary. It was a different format that I don't typically do, and that was several years ago. But yeah, we haven't done like a regular campaign as Greece. The third option is Poland. We've never done a Poland campaign in Hoi 4 on the channel. I have played them off camera, but we've never done one on the channel, so that would be interesting. I don't think they're going to win, though. And the last option is actually Japan, because I wanted to have a major on there. I always try and have at least one major country and one minor country. And in this case, I think Japan's the only major country in the poll. And it would be interesting, of course, to go from Japan in Victoria 3 to then go to Japan in Hearts of Iron 4. But I don't think they have any votes. Maybe one, but I don't think anybody's really voted for Japan. Maybe because we just did the Victoria one, or maybe because people really want to see me play as a minor. But yeah, we haven't played as Japan in a while. It's been several years. I think it's been 3 years? Yeah, 3, maybe more, since we did a Japanese campaign. So they're in the poll as well, but they probably won't win. I think it's going to be either Spain or Greece. We'll have to see how the patrons vote over the next day or so. And that campaign will be starting on Friday. That's the plan. It might start Saturday if something happens, but it should start on Friday, guys. So I'm looking forward to it. I'm excited to jump back in Hoi 4 after, God, it's been what, three months or so since we played Hoi 4. Just been focusing on Victoria and then that Knights of Honor 2 Sovereign game that we covered. And so yeah, it's been a while since we played March Farm 4, so I'm looking forward to it. I do hope to see it on that series. If you enjoyed this one, make sure you leave a like on the video, subscribe to our channel, hit that notification bell, and leave a comment. If you're looking for anything to watch while you wait for that new series to start on Friday, then check out the front page of our channel. We have 3,000 something videos all sorted by genre. I do play a lot of strategy games and a lot of these Paradox games, whether it's CK3, Hearts Farm 4, or now Victoria. I also have done a little bit of EU4 and Stellaris, but most of those are pretty old series. I don't typically cover either of those games anymore. Stellaris, while I really love it, it's one of my favorite Paradox games, just never had any success when it comes to the views, with the exception of the Stellaris console series I did. That did all right, but my PC series have never done well. Unfortunately, I've done like 3 of them, and all of them were very low in views, so I just decided to stop covering Stellaris. And then EU4, I just don't like EU4 that much anymore, despite the fact that that's my period. My history degree is in early modern European history. That's what the focus was on. And so EU4 is my time period. That's the time period I'd consider myself, almost an expert on. I don't know if having degrees in something makes you an expert, but I'm pretty close to being an expert if I'm not one. Very knowledgeable of the time period, and I always enjoyed studying that time period. And so you'd think I would like EU4 more, but man, they made a mess of that game. It used to be my favorite Paradox game, but yeah, now I don't really touch it anymore after with years of piss poor management and terrible expansions and just changes that I didn't agree with, and just pushing further and further away from history, which annoys me for that time period more than others because it is the time period I study. But yeah, it's not a game I play very much anymore. I've heard that they've done better with it. Maybe I'll check it out sometime. But I doubt we'll ever come back to it on the channel, or probably not, unless I found like a mod I really liked. But yeah, I got off track there. Point is, there's plenty to watch while you wait for that next series to start. If you're looking for any links, then check out the description of any of our videos. You found links to our PayPal, Patreon, and Teespring store if you'd like to help support the channel. You also find a link to our Discord if you'd like to join our community. And finally, found links to all of our social media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, all that good stuff if you'd like to follow us on those. So I do hope to see you guys on another video, and thanks for watching.